So first, where'd the funnel come from? Wait for it. There it is. The funnel started with this guy. I didn't know who this guy was. The only two things that I knew about this guy is we shared a haircut and we both have an interest in marketing. But
I thought he was on Sesame Street when I first read it.
right, Sesame Street. So this guy invented the funnel in 1898. That's a long time ago. So again, the principles of marketing have stayed the same for a long period of time. He called it the AIDA funnel. So the next slide kind of gives you a breakdown of what it looks like. So the AIDA funnel is awareness, interest, desire, and action. Sounds familiar. And as marketers, we sort of simplified it into three categories in the modern funnel, which is awareness, consideration, and conversion. So pretty simple, and it's kind of held true for a very long period of time. So next couple of slides are examples of what it might have looked like when the original funnel was created. You had some awareness, interest, action, and desire based ads, and you can kind of see visually how those sort of break down. But really, in an old print style or old quote unquote traditional media, there was a lot going on in one particular ad. And you kind of even see that even in today's magazine style advertising, if people still physically do that for trade pubs or whatever else, where you have sort of an all-in-one funnel in one ad. So you have attention, interest, desire, and action kind of all in one place, which is easy to follow, easy to understand. As a marketer and putting together creative, you're like, okay, cool. I know exactly what this is supposed to do. I got to make sure I check all these boxes, and boom, there we go. A more modern example of how that funnel would work would be something like this. So you might see a TV commercial, and then that same group may send out a mass mailing to that audience pool that was likely to have seen the TV commercial. That mass mailing probably had a discount, or maybe there was multiple, or a special promo of some kind, or maybe even an email that followed with some sort of call to action that gave a discount or something to go do. And then ultimately you go to the store, or you work with a sales rep, or you make a phone call or something to close the deal, to actually complete the sale. We've all experienced that. But how did the funnel go from being something that looks pretty linear, like what we just said, to something that resembles like a maze? It's not nearly as linear as what we might think in the modern world. So what changed all that? What made it go from being something simple to something incredibly complex? And what messed it up for everyone? This guy. This guy made everything complicated because Mr. Gore invented the internet. So when the internet was invented, of course, everything changed, and it's gotten more and more complex. This is no secret to any marketer listening to this, but this chart just sort of shows the complexity and the level of change that's happened over a period of time. So 2020 versus 2024, it will be no surprise that the vast majority of marketing dollars are going to digital advertising. What might be surprising is that even within these quote unquote traditional categories like TV, digital is by far and away overtaking the quote unquote traditional side of things. May not be that surprising for TV, but it might be for some of these other categories, like out of home, as an example. When you have traditionally, you buy an out of home ad and it's up for 30 days or whatever your time period was that you bought, and then you take it down and the next person goes on. Now with digital, you literally have digital billboards. So it's overtaking almost every category of what we're doing. So no surprises there, just factoids. But let's use a practical example. Let's talk about the experience of buying a car. So when you buy a car, you might see a TV ad that generates the awareness. You might go to the dealership, you go for a test drive, and then you buy it. That's the traditional process, right? Well, that's changed too, unsurprisingly, but also shockingly. So more than 90% of cars are still bought through dealerships. However, the amount of time invested on an individual consumer's own buying journey has changed drastically. The average consumer will spend 13 hours researching online and only 3.5 hours spent at a dealership, which I'm 100% sure all 3.5 hours are begrudging, right? If they could buy the car online, which some vendors allow you to do, they would just do that and never have to talk to a human being. So 13 hours of research is an incredible amount of time. And that's probably light depending on the consumer that you might be. And so you can imagine reading articles or watching testimonials or reviews or podcasts or something else about a considered purchase like buying a car, and you're going to spend all this time and energy on your own. And that fact isn't unique to just buying a car. It's almost everything. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I bought a book bag and I spent way more hours than I care to admit just watching videos about people just saying how good or bad this bag was versus this other bag versus this other thing. And it's, it's like a $200 product. So I think it doesn't change. Pretty much whatever you're buying, you're going to research in some way, shape, or form very differently than what we might before, just because of the amount of content that's available. So what's the conclusion there? The funnel's changed. And now consumers are on a choose your own adventure journey. Self-service is king, which means brands have to keep up. We have to provide more content to allow a user or a consumer to self-navigate throughout their entire experience.